This is Lady Ash of Book Catalot, and I'm back with my review of Throne of Glass, the first book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. So, my first review was a little all over the place because it was the first one I'd done in this format, but now I've kind of figured out how I want to do this, so I know exactly what I'm doing. So, alright, I finished Throne of Glass a couple months ago, and then wrote a review and put it on Tumblr, and then I realized that I wanted to do multi-format reviews and keep doing my radio show reviews on YouTube and my aesthetic reviews on Tumblr. So, I already put up my Tumblr review, and now I'm finally getting around to doing my Throne of Glass YouTube review. So, I read Throne of Glass. I started it actually, when it came out, way back in 2012. I read the first, 75 pages and decided to DNF it because I, wanted to stab Kalena in the face. And sorry, I know I'm pronouncing her name wrong. I know it's Selena. I didn't know that for a long time, so in my head, she's been Kalena for, ever. So I'm going to try to remember to say Selena, and sorry if I get her name wrong. Anyway, I really wanted to stab Selena in the face for the 75 pages that I read. So I DNF'd it, but then somebody was like, why don't you just edit it? Because I do that sometimes because I'm Mormon. I edit certain things out of some of my books that I read. And I was like, I don't think I can edit for this particular problem. Well, it turns out that actually, yes, indeed I can, because I'm really a genius. So I did. Didn't actually have to take out that much. It was just a few things every now and then that she was just, super nasty. Anyway, that's not even the point. So once I took out that one thing, I actually really enjoyed the book. However, I have the apparently unique ability to enjoy books that are trash. Not that Throne of Glass is trash, because it's not. But I apparently have this ability. So, when I review books, I rate them on a scale of 5 stars, and the rating system is not dependent on whether or not I enjoyed the book. So, what does that mean? What that means is I really enjoyed Throne of Glass, and I actually, after I read it, I went and bought every book in the series that was out at the time. So, the only one that wasn't out when I bought them all was Empire of Storms, which I had pre-ordered. But even though I did this, and even though I love the book, it still only gets 2.75 out of 5 stars. So, let's get started with the review, and I'll explain what that's about. So, first I'm going to read you guys a summary for anyone who hasn't actually read this book. After serving out a year of hard labor in the salt mines of Endovier for her crimes, 18-year-old assassin Selena Sardothian, that's why I don't like the pronunciation Selena, I do not like alliterative names. Selena Sardothian is dragged before the crown prince. Prince Dorian offers her freedom on one condition. She must act as his champion in a competition to find a new royal assassin. Her opponents are men, thieves, and assassins and warriors from across the empire, each sponsored by a member of the king's council. If she beats her opponents in a series of eliminations, she'll serve the kingdom for 4 years and then be granted her freedom. Selena finds her training sessions with the captain of the guard, Captain Cale Westfall, challenging and exhilarating, but she's bored stiff by court life. Things get a little more interesting when the prince starts to show interest in her, but it's the gruff Captain Westfall who seems to understand her best. Then one of the other contestants turns up dead, quickly followed by another. Can Selena figure out who the killer is before she becomes a victim? As the young assassin investigates, her search leads her to discover a greater destiny than she could possibly have imagined. Now, I'm going to say this summary is actually very misleading, because, she doesn't actually really investigate what's going on with the other competitors getting killed. I'm going to explain what I liked. So, the world of Throne of Glass is frick-fracking amaze bunnies. I love it. I, edited Selena. It's such a fun person to read about, except for her incredibly awful backstory that is very much not fun. I love Cale, Captain Westfall. Ooh. I love Dorian's personality, even though I have some problems with his princeliness, but we'll get to that. And I love Nehemiah, and I know her name is actually pronounced Nehemia, but that sounds like some kind of, weird injury or disease. I'm not calling her Nehemia. It sounds like hernia. She's Nehemiah. My version is better. She's such a brilliant princess, and Selena could actually learn a lot from her. Oh, FYI, and I'm pretty sure I put this in the doobly-doo, and really anybody should just know that this is coming, but there's going to be spoilers in this review. Anyway. And, starting now. So if you haven't read the book, don't get mad if I spoil you. I love the idea of the contest to determine the king's champion, and I love how poetic Sarah J. Maas sometimes waxes. I love lyrical prose. I can't even tell you. That's one of the things that I love the most about Daughter of Smoke and Bone, which I reviewed First, I love lyrical prose. It's like a thing that, as long as it's not badly implemented, you are gonna get me probably 95% of the time with that. I love Nox. There's this character named Nox. He's one of the competitors, and he and Selena actually end up being friends, and I love him. I could squish him to pieces. I love how, because Kane, who is the secondary in the first book, he's the secondary villain, but then you actually find out he's actually more of a tertiary villain in the series, but he doesn't last long enough to really be a tertiary villain. He's the guy that everyone thinks is going to win, and he's the guy that the king picked to win. And I love how, because Kane seems so stupid, we never actually, at least I never actually thought that he could be the brains behind the whole operation, because he's actually not, and that's obvious. But it's obvious in such a way that we have to wonder if Caltaine, Rompierre, Kane, and the Duke are working together or not. Like, as you read it, it's like, even though Kane's not the brains behind the operation, is he working with these people? Or is he not working with these people? Or are they using him? Like, what is that? Anyway, and the king being in on it actually totally surprised me. If only because I didn't expect him to pick a lummox like Kane. And so, like, because Kane actually, you don't know that Kane is picked by the king. You think that he actually got picked by Duke Parrington. And you don't realize that Duke Parrington picked him because the king told him to. I really liked how there was, like, doubt in me about whether Kane was, like, an active, I just stabbed myself, was an active participant in this stuff, or he's just, some Joe Schmuckatelli who got, nabbed off the street and it's like, here, kill people. I love how magic seemed to disappear on its own after the war against all the magical beings that live in Adarlan, which is the country that the king is king of. It's like magic is a sentient thing almost, so I thought that was, like, really interesting. I love how Selena used to have magic, and she knows that she did, and that it's not a secret from the reader. Like, that's really original, because, like, a bazillion different books have girls who find out that they have superpowers, or had superpowers, but then the superpowers got bound somehow, like in Charmed. They had powers, and then their powers got bound, and they forgot that they had powers, and so, like, they have these secret powers that they used to know about when they were little, but now they don't know, and, like, I see that a lot in books. That's in Cinder, as an example, but it's not in Throne of Glass. Selena has never forgotten what she used to be, and I really like that. Selena's identity as the Princess of Terrasen being something she actually knows about is also original, and I love it. And yes, I know that this is not confirmed until the end of Crown of Midnight. I know, and so probably people are like, oh my god, why would you spoil that in a review for Throne of Glass? Well, guess what, people? I literally figured out she was the Princess of Terrasen on, like, page 22 of Throne of Glass. Back in, like, 2012, when there were no other books out. Yeah, it's really obvious that she's the princess. So I'm actually really glad that she didn't forget that she was the princess, because that would have just been so bad, like, so badly done. So we've got this lost princess, but she at least knows she's lost and knows where she came from, so that's cool. That's very different. If you strip off the random bizarre bursts of inordinate rage, and I mean inordinate even when weighed against her psychological trauma, Selena is a great person, and she's so believable and realistic. And a lot of people were like, oh my god, she's so arrogant, but we never actually see her doing anything that, like, means that she should be able to be that arrogant. And I'm like, alright, you know what, let me get to that in a minute. There's a couple things that she does that I'm just like, you're messing up your characterization here. This is not okay, but that only happens, like, 2 or 3 times. And other than that, I love that part of her that she is actually very realistic. She's angry all the time. She is one of those people that, because she's been stepped on all the time, she refuses to feel like she's been stepped on. Like, a lot of people are like, oh my god, she's so arrogant, it's so annoying. And I'm like, you know what, I understand why you would think that, but, it's a little refreshing to have a female character. It doesn't have to deal with this, oh, I must suck, all the time. It's like the antithesis of Bella Swan. Bella Swan is like, I'm so average, and I'm so average. Oh, how could anyone ever, like me? And it's and you see that a lot. Like, even Katniss, for all of her badassery, is just like, Peeta can't be in love with me. What? This is all a game. And, like, she is confident in her abilities as, like, a poacher, and that's about it. And so it's nice to see a character who actually is very confident in herself and believes that she has worth beyond, like, one thing in her life. So, like, Selena knows that she is fairly attractive. She knows that she's good at what she does. She knows that she knows things other people don't know. She knows that she is the Princess of Terrasen. She knows that she used to have magic. She knows a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about herself and about the world, and she has confidence in the value of what she's got, basically. And that's nice. And sometimes it's a little arrogant, but in a world where everyone tells you that you don't matter, arrogance sometimes is the only weapon that you have. So, there's that. I love that she loves to read, and a lot of people said that it came off really contrived, and I guess it's because, like, she's so adamantly in love with reading, but I'm like, you know what, she actually sounds like I do, so I'm okay with that. And, I think that honestly, I really like that, honestly, if everyone left her alone, and she didn't have to go to prison, and there was no, looming war, and and Terrasen hadn't been wiped out, and she wasn't a princess, and didn't have magical powers, and, wasn't an assassin, she'd probably just be chilling down on the beach with a book and a designer bathing suit. She likes clothes. And that's another thing. I like the fact that we have a female character who likes girly things, like clothes and jewelry, but also likes nerdy things, like reading, but also can kick somebody's butt. I don't understand why that's a problem. You see male characters who do this all the time. So, I don't get why, I guess that makes her a Mary Sue, I guess. Even though there are people in the world who are actually better fighters than Celaena is. Thing is, they never say that Celaena is the greatest warrior in Adarlan. They say she's one of the greatest assassins. They call her Adarlan's assassin, but also everyone knows that the king of assassins is better than she is. So, on the one hand, it's like she's one of the greatest assassins in Adarlan, and they say she's the greatest, but she isn't actually the greatest, and everyone knows that. So, I don't know. There's that. But I just think it's interesting that if she's one of the few characters I know that if you just left her alone for, a year, she'd probably just set up shop on some beach, reading books and lounging around, letting guys admire her. She's something I've been looking for in a semi-dystopian book, a heroine whose first thought isn't, I'm going to take down the corrupt government. No, her first thought is, get me the frack out of here. I want to go home. Except she doesn't have a home, so she's like, I want to go somewhere else. The other thing that I liked, the thing that I just loved, this is what actually made me want to read Throne of Glass back when it came out back in 2012. I heard about it from Tamar Ridzinski, and I swear I'm pronouncing that woman's name wrong, and I feel so bad. Tamara? It's Tamar. So, Tamar Ridzinski, I'm hoping. The agent. She's Sarah J. Maas's agent. I heard about this book on her blog, apparently because it's a Cinderella retelling, and so I was like, a Cinderella retelling with assassins? What? I want this. And then I started reading it, and I didn't want it. But so, when I finally edited it and then read it, the thing that I really, really loved, one of the things that plot events that I loved was the ballroom scene. And the Cinderella aspects of that are my favorite freaking thing. I mean, honestly, reading the book, knowing that Celaena is supposed to be based off of the Disney Cinderella from the animated film, makes the book actually a lot more interesting to me. And I could totally picture her dress, and it was so, that was my favorite part, because I'm like, Cinderella, yay! But alas, there are some problems with this book. Now, here's what I didn't like. So, okay, there's actually a few things that I don't like about this book, despite how much I loved everything else. I don't like Celaena as she's written. The way she was edited in my edition of Throne of Glass, she's great. But the Celaena as written in the book is a horrible person, and I hated her enough as the protagonist when I first started reading it back in 2012 that I found myself rooting for her to lose. And that shouldn't be like that. Also, Dorian is a lousy prince. Good guy. Shoddy politician. And the two good guy, good politician, those two things are not mutually exclusive. There's no reason why he couldn't be a good guy and be a good politician, and he's not. There were also some realism aspects that needed serious work. Arobynn would not have had Celaena smash her hand in the door, especially in a country where magical healing is not a thing that exists. It's too easy for her to permanently damage her hand in such a way as to render her handicapped in the assassin field. And she was only 12, so the odds of this are seriously increased just from that. Celaena just blithely eating candy she doesn't know the origin of makes no sense. She should have at least tested it first, and she doesn't even wake up when Kale comes into her room, or maybe it was Dorian, but pretty sure it's Kale, at one point, because she was up late. But a real assassin, even an 18-year-old one, would have been wide awake, if a little ticked off because she's tired. She should be similar to Charlotte Holmes from Brittany Cavallero's A Study in Charlotte, aware at all times of what anyone is doing in the room. A good example of a young person who would make a better assassin than Celaena is Paul Atreides from Dune by Frank Herbert. Having read The Assassin's Blade already, I've read the whole series at this point, I can honestly say that Sarah J. Maas could benefit from reading Dune for a variety of reasons. Not the whole series, not the whole Dune series, just the first book, the actual Dune by Frank Herbert. I don't care if Dune and Throne of Glass are different genres either, because she could learn some stuff. Her research levels leave much to be desired. Lastly, Sarah J. Maas has some accidental racism and sexism going on. I don't by any means think that she did this on purpose, and I'm hoping it gets fixed in later books, although, so far it hasn't really gotten fixed. So here's hoping that she really fixes it in Empire Storms. But Selena has no female friends other than Nehemiah, and never really had any. Until, well, I can't go into that because I can only judge Throne of Glass, the first book, on the merits of the first book. So, that's a problem. And this actually sort of ties into my issue with the Assassin's Blade. All the girls, except Selena, are bad people. She has no female friends until she meets Nehemiah. And maybe Erebin did this on purpose, like in Throne of Glass, just reading Throne of Glass. You don't know if he did. It would be safe to assume that he did. But if he did, I wish it could have been pointed out somehow to make it make more sense, and so that Selena doesn't just come across as a total bitch. Excuse my language. She sort of makes friends with the maid lady in Throne of Glass, but they're not really friends the way that Selena and Nehemiah are portrayed as being friends, and they're not friends the way Ansel and Selena sort of were. That's in Assassin's Blade. And girls have different kinds of friendships, yes, but she doesn't really have any strong female friendships as compared to, say, the female friendships in A Court of Mist and Fury. I read Throne of Glass before reading A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury, but I did notice it. Basically, I've read everything Sarah J. Maas has written at this point. But I did notice it even so, and reading A Court of Mist and Fury made it even more obvious to me when I thought about it later. So there's that, and I know that this is going to get fixed, but it doesn't get fixed in Throne of Glass, and that's my problem. And I feel like, and I know that Kale's supposed to be one of her love interests, but I feel like actually we could have avoided like a whole lot of angst and drama if Kale had been a girl. Just saying. As for the racism issue, unfortunately Nehemiah seems like she's falling into the magical Negro trope, and that's bad. Hopefully this gets rectified in Crown of Midnight, but so far, although she's well fleshed out, she seems to exist solely for Selena's benefit, to show how good Selena is, to give Selena advice and help her out. And while she has her own mission, we see very little of it in Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass really isn't that big compared to, say, Nevermore by Kelly Cray. I feel like she could have squeezed in, she being Sarah J. Maas, could have squeezed in just a few small scenes from Nehemiah's point of view, both a POC point of view and another woman who's not a bad guy because Cultane doesn't count, to give Nehemiah more depth and to make her less a token black character, albeit a token black princess. Tokenism is still tokenism. So yeah, tanked points. Sorry. Also, I figured out that Selena, as I said, was the Princess of Terrasen on like page 25, so that loses like a quarter of a point because that's a major spoiler and it's super obvious figured out like that. That's like the end of the things I liked and things I didn't like. So now this is important because this is an edited book. Things of note. The edition of Throne of Glass that I read was edited to remove the more homicidal aspects of Selena's personality. That means that when I judge how much I love the book versus what I'm going to rate the book, I'm judging my love of the book on edited Selena. I am rating the book on non-edited Selena. Also, Dorian is a surprisingly bad prince and politician for being such a good guy under such a bad and evil king, and because of this, I had to give Sarah J. Maas only half a star for characterization instead of a full star. Oh, let me back up real fast. The way that my rating system works is that I give up to 1 star for characterization, for plot, for realism, for word choice, and for world building. You can also get stars for doing bonus things, and you can lose stars for doing things that you shouldn't have done. And then those 5 stars, or potential 5 stars, then all add up to the ranking that you get, however many stars out of 5 for the total ranking of the book. So, with that said, because of how Dorian is, and also Selena, I had to give Sarah J. Maas only half a star for characterization instead of a full star. The lack of diversity also docked the book half a star for world building. Although the word choice was often beautiful, Sarah J. Maas didn't carry this through the whole book, so that's a quarter of a star gone. A book gets a quarter of a star in each category if it's mediocre, half a star for good, 3/4 of a star for fantastic, 1 whole star for perfect. And then certain things about Selena's attitude, candy, the sleeping, her hand, as mentioned in earlier in this video, detract from the realism, losing the book another quarter of a star. The undertones of sexism and racism lost it 3/4 of a star. So that ended up with half a star for characterization, 3/4 of a star for plot, because I could call some of it. Realism, 3/4 of a star. Word choice, 3/4 of a star. And world building, half a star. And then I subtracted 3/4 of a star for the racism, sexism, plus a quarter of a star for originality. Eurocentric medievalness is not original, but some of the minor things earned it some bonus points. And that ended up with a total of 2.75 stars out of 5. Now, would I recommend this book? I would actually. I would point out all of my issues with it, and then I would tell someone, but consider this, with all these issues, I read the first book and then bought the entire series. What does that tell you? Despite its flaws, Throne of Glass has the makings of something incredible, and judging by the popularity, it obviously carried through. It certainly did in A Court of Thorns and Roses, and especially in A Court of Mist and Fury, which is one of my favorite books of all time. So I would definitely recommend Sarah J. Maas's books to people, reminding them that Throne of Glass is her first book. She started it when she was 16, and she only has room to grow. I seriously doubt she's going to get any worse. So, that's my review of Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Please, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of my rating system, whether you liked the things that I liked, whether you had issues with the things that I had issues with. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I will chat with you guys in the next video.